So finally guys, we get to talking about this camera that's in front of me that's filming me right now, and that is the AG-AC30 by Panasonic. Now I've really enjoyed using this a lot, trust me. It's, I mean, you know, the first thing you imagine, you know, the first thing that you sort of come across is it's the bulk. It's, you know, you do immediately think, because obviously I've just come from a small consumer camcorder, so the immediate jump up to something this size, it's, you immediately think, wow, you know. And some of it, there was a learning curve there, but much of it was very, very similar. They've kept the main menu very, very similar to my smaller consumer model, which is the V750. One of the strangest things that I sort of wasn't expecting from this sort of a camera was the addition of the light, and that makes a huge difference. And I would say it could actually be a bit of a lifesaver in certain situations when somebody wants to get that shot. And you know, I think if you were making sort of budget movies for the internet, that sort of thing, then this could definitely be a worthwhile choice in cameras. No, it's not 4K, but the quality that you get from it, to me, says, do you actually need 4K? Yes, 4K is the future, but it's not always required, really. You know, there are many good movies out there, you know, I'm talking internet movies here, that are not shot in 4K. Dark, isn't it? So what we're going to do is we're going to test that light right now on this camcorder. And wow, that's just blinded me. You can see that that makes a huge difference to the way everything lights up on me here. And yes, all right, you've got the filters. Now if I put this one on now, and you can see what that does, and then if I take that one off, obviously these are just working the same as a gel would on a much bigger light. And then you've got that one, which basically just keeps the light white but softens it. So they are thrown in as well. They also have little tie areas on them so that they can also be added to the strap sort of situation that would come with it all, when you get all your cords and everything that hold your lens cap and all that sort of thing all in one place. And that is my main sort of bugbear, and that is that it's too bright. Without going into the settings and messing around with it in there, which is a little bit fiddly if you were sort of like mid-shot or something like that, I would like to see a manual wheel, just a dial, so that you can actually just dial that light up and down and get it to exactly where you want to get it. Now from that point of view, that's the only thing that I could really find that I would sort of call a negative on it. I'm going to take you to some bits and pieces of outside stuff now. Let's get to the zoom. So here we are, outside lighting, and the neighbour has very kindly started up a chainsaw just randomly like that, so this is going to give us a good sort of estimation of how the audio comes through more than anything else. It's just one of those things that would happen. Sun's, you know, pretty low down on the horizon now. I deliberately left it this sort of time because it was just such a very bright day, even though it's winter time. We are very bright today. There's no clouds around, pure blue sky. And I'll turn around and we'll get you some footage of that actually. Right, so we're going to try out the zoom out here, guys. Now I've got it in manual mode at the minute, and what I was going to do was there's a tree over there that I'm going to try and point it at that, and what I'll do is I'll also try and show it with and without the optical image stabilization, and we'll go handheld. So here goes. So as you can see from that bit of footage there, you know, the OIS does make quite a big difference, and that 20 times optical zoom is pretty damn good. Now the other thing I was playing around with was I wanted to play with the time-lapse, which, alright, it's not really called a time-lapse, it's called interval on these Panasonic cameras. And basically all it is it's not like with a DSLR where you set it up to take a time-lapse. Obviously you would use either a built-in timer, which some have and others don't, and you would need to buy an add-on to go on the outside, which basically will automatically then, you would set it up at the right timing to take a photograph, break, take a photograph. Whereas this stitches it all together and just pumps it all out as one video file, basically already pre-made up for you, and then it just gives you a limited functionality on the spacing, how often you want it to take that image. So this bit here that you're going to see now is taken at 1 second interval, and obviously you can jump up to 10 seconds and I think 3 minutes and things like that. So you are a little bit limited on your time lapse. Slow-mo I think is great. I mean, I had to dig around in the settings, and at one point I was sort of struggling to get it a bit, and it made sense in the end. With my other camera, I literally just hit slow-mo, and I changed it when there was a firmware update. I changed it so that when I put it on slow-mo, it stays on slow-mo. It doesn't only give me 3 so many second bursts, which is what it was allowed to be, and it had to be in a certain format. Now what you have to do is you just have to be in a certain format. The thing is, all that's happening is it's giving you more controllability over the shot, because you are moving up to a pro camera, and this is what happens because you are given more control. And I had to ask to get into the slow-mo, but I'm quite happy with the results. The results are quite impressive, and the only thing that I haven't found out yet is the actual frame rate. Until I've been and checked a bit closer, I'm not sure what the actual frame rate of slow-mo is. There are conflicting stories on the internet, but remember, some of these are country specific and they will have different letters after the camera. This one in fact is the EJ model. There are some variations obviously worldwide. The varying speeds are that I've read about basically is 100 frames per second and 120 frames per second. I'm not sure which this one was actually filmed in, but the results, I'm sure you'll agree with me, do look quite good. I'm not grading any of this footage, I just want you to see exactly as it comes out from the camera. Right, so if we go through the touchscreen menu here, guys, and so I'm just using a button on the side to access it. It just makes it a little bit easier than doing it on the screen. And you can see it's very simply set out. You've got camera set up, and if we go into there, you can see that you've got your different modes: sharpness, color, exposure, auto white balance, backlight compensator. If we return out of there, system mode, you've got your record format. In at the moment it's in MOV. I needed that for time lapse and for slow motion. Then obviously you've got your record format. Now it needed to be in a certain one also for the slow motion. I needed to be either in the 50 or 25 in the full HD there. And obviously if you go into a different recording format, say MP4 or AVC HD, then when we go into record format, you can see that you've got a whole list there of even more things that you can choose from. So if we return out of there, and then you got your user, that's your user switches. And what it is, the buttons on the side double up as a one touch straight in there. So you can see that user 1, you press the button that's marked number 1 on the side, and it will take you to super slow-mo. And user 2, they've got the histogram turned on there. Optical image stabilization can be turned on and off there. So it's all pretty straightforward. It's a very simple setup. I mean, it seems a little more simple to me because I'm already coming from a Panasonic camera, and it does actually have a very, very similar setup to this. So here it is, guys. I've absolutely loved it. It's been an eye-opener. I always said to myself that if I buy another camera, it's going to be 4K. Now I'm not quite so sure. After playing with this, I'm thinking, well, maybe 4K isn't necessary after all. For what I want, this gives absolutely superb footage. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with it. It's, I mean, you can see actually I've still got that's what I've been using to put my microphones into. As I said, for some reason the Rode Video Mic Go, which is actually on top of here right now, although I'm not using it, for some reason it was just giving static. It wouldn't work on the phantom power on here. So, but it works absolutely fine in this camera, which obviously gives some phantom power. So I'm not quite sure about all that. I must remember to get my SD card out of there. I need that. So something else I wanted to say about the slow-mo actually was that your regular SD cards. Now this one, I mean, they're not brilliant ones, mine. This is a class 10 U1 45 megabits a second. So obviously you couldn't put 4K on that. I couldn't get it to work at all. It was saying that the SD card wouldn't support it. So basically what I ended up doing was, because I didn't have one handy at the time, I had to get the micro SD card from my Phantom drone, put it into a size jumper and slot that in, and it worked just fine. So do bear that in mind, guys, that you will need to go up to higher quality cards basically. Now, if we go in, I mean, the controls are just so simple and straightforward. All your audio controls are back here, so you can obviously switch between the line. You can have a line in, or you can have your microphones plugged in, or you can just use that built-in mic, which actually gives pretty good sound considering, really. It's better outside than in, although I only had windy weather unfortunately to do what I did. And then you've got your volume levels for them there. All your buttons down here, pretty self-explanatory. White balance, shutter speed, switch between intelligent auto and manual there. And this here, now I've got this on, this camera here has one of these wheels. I'm not sure it was actually necessary on here, but it does help you scroll through things a little bit quicker, and it does have a little press on it as well, so you can actually press that to select what you've scrolled to in the menu settings. And also it helps you scroll around through things like you can scroll between your automatic iris and manual iris and the likes of that with it. But all in all, it's absolutely great. There's your buttons that you can obviously select them to do functions, and you get the red LED rings back here. If I just turn that back on for you guys, and you can see a blue LED ring there. Now these are all alterable in the settings as well. And if you turn that on and press record, that will go red. And you can also set it to do other things. You can change the colours between red and green as to what you wish them to do. This hood is completely removable, so you can take that off and use it without. The lens cap stays in there. And obviously you can add filters if you like. That's the only thing that this one doesn't have over some of the other models, is there's no filters added into this, which I suppose at the end of the day, yes, it'd be nice to have them, but it's obviously going to add to the cost. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. With anything like this, as always, it comes down to cost. This in the UK at the moment, I can get it for about £1,350. They don't sell it on Amazon. Best place in the UK I've found, or the cheapest in the UK I've found, is SLR Hut. I'll leave all the links below for where I found. In America and on the continent, you can, however, get it off Amazon. So I'll leave all the links below. You can go and check them out. And I'll also leave a link to Panasonic, who, finally, I must say a huge thank you to. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I really just want to say thank you for allowing me to do this, and I do hope that we could work something else again in the future, perhaps. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and it has been a very big eye-opener. So with that, guys, I'm sorry it's been such a long video, but I thank you all for watching, and if you've got this far, well done. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.